The old man sat under a large shady tree in the middle of the village. The afternoon sun was warm but gentle, casting long shadows on the soft grass. A group of children gathered around him, their eyes full of curiosity. Some sat cross legged, while others lay on their stomachs, eager to listen. The old man, with his long white beard and kind eyes, always had the best stories. He cleared his throat, smiled, and began. A long time ago, in a quiet little village, much like this one, there was a small house on the edge of a big green field. In that house lived a kind old woman. She had no family, but she was never lonely. Do you know why? The children shook their hands. Because she had two special companions, a playful little dog named Bruno and a quiet, graceful cat named Kitty. The old woman loved them dearly, but there was one problem. Bruno and Kitty did not get along. In fact, they did not like each other at all. The children grasped. Why not? One of them asked. The old man chuckled. Well, Bruno was full of energy. He loved to run in the yard, chase birds, and bark at everything he saw. Kitty, on the other hand, was calm and quiet. She liked to sit on the window sill and watch the world go by. She enjoyed peace, and Bruno was just too noisy for her. Every morning, Bruno woke up early, wagged his tail, and running around the house. He would try to get Kitty to play, barking and jumping in front of her, but Kitty would just flick her tail and climb up to a high shelf out of Bruno's reach. When Kitty wanted to nap, Bruno would often disturb her with his excitement. She would hiss at him, annoyed, but Bruno never understood why. He just wanted to be friends. They are too different. The villagers would say a dog and cat can never be friends, but Pat had other plans. One afternoon, the sky began to darken. Big grey clouds covered the sun, and the air became heavy. The old woman looked up at the sky and said, "A storm is coming. It will be a big one." She quickly gathered the clothes from the washing line, secured the windows, and made sure Bruno and Kitty were inside. But as she turned to close the door, she noticed something. Kitty was missing. The old woman looked around the house, calling, "Kitty, Kitty, where are you?" But there was no answer. Outside, the wind started to howl, and the trees swayed violently. The first drops of rain hit the ground, followed by more and more until it became a heavy downpour. The storm had arrived. Where was Kitty? Meanwhile, Kitty had been wandering near the fields. She had climbed a tall tree to watch the birds, not realizing the storm was coming. When the wind started blowing, the trees shook. Startled, Kitty tried to climb down, but a loud clap of thunder scared her, and she lost her footing. She jumped down quickly and landed in the wet grass. The rain was now falling heavily, the wind was cold, and the sky was dark. Kitty looked around, trying to find her way home, but everything looked different in the storm. She was lost. She mewed softly, hoping someone would hear her, but the wind carried her voice away. She was all alone. Inside the house, Bruno was curled up near the fireplace. The rain outside made soft tapping sounds on the roof, and the warm fire made him sleepy. But suddenly his ears perked up. He thought he heard something, a faint, weak cry. He lifted his head and listened. Meow. It was Kitty. Bruno jumped to his feet and ran to the door and scratched at it, barking. The old woman turned to him. What is it, Bruno? She asked. But Bruno kept scratching and barking. Then she heard it too, a faint, distant mew. Kitty, she gasped. The old woman grabbed a lantern and opened the door. But before she could step outside, Bruno dashed into the storm. The wind blew against his face and the rain soaked his fur, but he did not stop. He ran toward the fields, following Kitty's scent. After a few minutes, he spotted her, a small wet figure curled up under a bush. Kitty looked up, her big eyes filled with fear. Bruno bowed, letting her know he was there. He bumped her gently and his nose, trying to encourage her to stand. She was cold and weak, but Bruno didn't leave her side. Then through the rain, the old woman arrived, holding a lantern high. She saw Kitty and quickly wrapped her in a blanket. Oh, my dear Kitty, she said, hugging her close. Let's get you inside. Bruno wagged. Back in the warm house, the old woman dried Kitty with a soft towel. Bruno sat beside her, watching with concern. For the first time, Kitty did not hiss or move away from him. Instead, she slowly stretched out her teeny paw and placed it on his. Bruno's tail wagged softly. He had saved her, and she knew it. From that day on, everything changed. Bruno and Kitty became the best of friends. They ate their meals together, played in the yard, and even slept beside each other. Kitty no longer climbed away when Bruno came near, and Bruno learned to be gentle when Kitty needed rest. The old woman smiled. See, friendship is not about being the same, it is about being there for each other. The old man paused and looked at the children. They were silent, thinking about the story. Do you see, my children? He said. Bruno and Kitty were different, but when it mattered, Bruno helped Kitty, and Kitty learned to trust him. Friendship is not about being the same, it is about kindness, care, and standing by each other. The children smiled, understanding the lesson. The old man leaned back, watching the golden sunset. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked, and a cat purred, and the children wondered, maybe the story was true after all.